Hello and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that the Warren Commission lovingly referred to as the second shooter. My name is Cody, and today I'm going to take a look at a war game, but it's not a historical simulation. In fact, it doesn't have much of a traditional theme. It's a fairly abstract war game, and that is Viktory Ii from Morrison Games. Up to 8 players can take part in Viktory with a K2 from Morrison Games. In this game, essentially, you start out in one corner of the board, and the board is a series of hexes. It kind of resembles Settlers of Catan. Well, over the course of the game, you're going to kind of explore the map. There's a kind of a 4X feeling to the game in a lot of ways. Now, you're also going to be building cities as you move your military units. Initially, you're going to build towns, which are little small houses, look like little Monopoly houses there. And these little towns give you an infantryman, which is nothing special, but depending on where you build it, it may give you bonuses later on. You can also eventually upgrade your towns into cities. And once they become cities, they not only provide infantry, they also provide other things. For instance, if you build on a mountain, you get an artillery piece. In grasslands, you get a cavalry unit. If you build them in forests, you get a naval unit. If you build them on the plains, you get extra infantry. So you get bonuses depending on where you build them. Now, of course, as you're spreading out, eventually you're going to come into contact with your neighbors. And in this sense, combat ensues. Combat is a little bit different in Viktory. What's going to happen here is it's not necessarily a numbers game. You're not necessarily bringing, if I've got 5 infantry, I get to roll a dice for each of them and I hit. It's not like kind of that Axis and Allies thing. Rather, you're rewarded for combined arms. The different number of units you bring to a battle gives you, you get to roll a die for each of them, but also where you're coming from. If you're entering a hex from multiple different hexes, you would get a bonus from each hex side you entered. There are, other bonuses. For instance, the artillery gets to fire first, frigates get to fire first, both on, I believe, an attack and defense, if memory serves. And then you also get bonuses if you're defending a town or a city. And certain terrain gives you defensive bonuses as well. Well, you're trying to push the enemy back. As soon as you conquer their cities, you suddenly can claim that city for your own. They're going to lose those units, and you get to have those types of units on the board. Now, essentially, when units are killed in this game, they just go into your reserve, and you can bring it back on, provided you have the cities to support them. So as long as you've got the cities to support them, you can keep your units in play. You have to take them off if they're defeated, they'll come right back. Unless an opponent takes a city. If an opponent takes a city, then, of course, you lose the those units for good, or at least until you can recapture a city like that. Now, you can play to different victory conditions. You can play for point value. The towns and the cities are worth various points. You can play for a game of elimination. You can play with an optional rule of subjugation. You can also play kind of a death clock, I think, where as soon as a city falls, you each kind of roll a die. Each player rolls a die, and however, as soon as they've all rolled a 1, after every turn, then the game is over and who's ever in the lead wins. So there's a lot of different scenario victory conditions for this game. So what do I think of Viktory Ii? Well, I gotta tell you, I enjoy war games. I'm a war game guy. They're not all I play. I certainly play plenty of other board games, but I do enjoy war games. And I like historical war games. I like it, very much games of historical themes. I'm a historian, so I love historical themes in the games that I play. Viktory Ii is, as I say, kind of an abstract war game. Now, you've got these units on the board that resemble kind of Napoleonic infantry and artillery and cavalry, but really it's pretty abstract, kind of like Risk. In fact, this game reminds me in some ways of Risk. There's a lot more detail, a lot more going on here, don't get me wrong, but it kind of reminds me of that just kind of abstract strategy. And I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it because, for starters, you're going to have a different game board every time you play. These hexes are going to be different. I like that a lot. I like knowing that when I play this game, it's going to be different every time I go into it. I really, really enjoy the strategic choices it makes you, forces you to make. For instance, again, I'm attacking this guy. And even if I've got a lot of infantry, it's not going to give me much of an advantage if I can't bring cavalry around from another hex side, or if I can't find a way to bring artillery in there. You're constantly looking for different angles. It's not just a numbers game. I like that a lot. There's some real strategy going on here. This is just a game that gives you a lot of good decisions, forcing you to make good decisions, and bad decisions sometimes. One of the things, too, I really like about this, and the game, and some of the footage that you're watching, and that game that we played, it was a 3-player game, but what was so cool about it was, very early on, my friend Justin had me on the ropes. I mean, he had me backed up to the sea. I had just a couple of cities left, and he was sprawling in his cities. And I was screwed. I was so close to death. But then he got a little ambitious. He went after Jeff on the other side, and Jeff hit him back. And suddenly he kind of had this crisis. He had to move units over there, and I was able to go back, and I was able to gain a lot of territory. So that kind of was interesting. He's on top of the world. We thought he had it 1 minute, and then the next minute suddenly he didn't, and I was looking like I was in a pretty good situation. Jeff, however, was able ultimately to pull out the victory by we're playing to a number of points, and he was able to win. So very, very cool. I like how this game can swing. I like how easily it can change if you're not careful. Fun game, interesting game, neat concepts. I really, really do enjoy Viktory Ii. If you maybe like the idea of an abstract game, a game that is not a historical simulation, but still forces you to do tough choices, this is kind of what I imagine Settlers of Catan would be if Settlers of Catan was a war game. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. That's Viktory, with a K, 2 from Morrison Games. The recommendation from the discriminating gamer is buy it. Thank you so much for joining us today for The Discriminating Gamer. Please, please, please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. Please leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. This is The Discriminating Gamer, and you know what? War is bad, but war games are the best.